Hey dorks. It's pretty obvious by now that I love a lot of computers made by Apple from the 90s, but the ones that I tend to talk about the most are the ones that seem to be of questionable quality. Today's subject is no different. The Apple event on October 15, 1990, which spawned the LC and the Classic, was also the genesis point for what we're here to talk about today, the Macintosh IIsi.
Presenting the newest member of the Macintosh II family, ladies and gentlemen, the Macintosh IIsi.
In the late 80s and early 90s, Apple had a reputation of building overpriced machines that were seen by most non-Apple users as toys or kids' computers. Of course, the overpriced accusation was pretty accurate, but most of the people that thought they were just toys were command line elitists or people that had just never used one. So the whole point of the October 15, 1990 event was to finally introduce affordable Macs, the aforementioned Mac Classic, Mac IIsi, and the Mac IIsi. The Classic for $999 without a hard drive, the LC for $2,500 without a monitor, and the newest machine in the professional Macintosh II line at the time, the IIsi, for $3,770 without a monitor. Affordability is relative, I guess. Earlier in the year, the Mac IIFX equipped with a 40 MHz 68030 was the fastest Mac available for around $9,000, and it remained the quickest Mac until the Quadra 700 and 900 were made available in 1991 for $5,700 and $7,200 respectively. At the same time, 1989's Mac IIci was still being sold for nearly $8,800. Compared to those, I guess $3,770 could be considered cheap, but on the PC side of things, it was starting to get interesting. The 386 processor was competitive with the 68030 in terms of performance, and computers based on it were much cheaper. The 486 CPU was the hot new thing and outperformed anything currently available on the Mac platform. Microsoft Windows 3.0 was also starting to gain traction, bridging the ease of use gap between PCs and Macs. An average 386-based PC with a monitor would cost around $1,600, and the faster 486-based model with a monitor could be had for around $5,000. But price isn't everything, of course. What the Mac IIsi lacks in affordability, it makes up for in clever engineering and overall quality, right? Well, the logic board comes equipped with 1 MB of RAM, some of which gets siphoned off to be used as video RAM. There's no FPU, there's no new bus slots, no onboard networking. All that and the CPU runs 5 MHz slower than the 25 MHz IIci. There's definitely some compromises. Now there is a way to get an FPU and a new bus slot on the IIsi. The one expansion slot on the logic board is a processor direct slot, for which there's a new bus riser adapter card. These cards feature a soldered-on FPU and one single new bus slot. I'd like to take a quick break to thank today's sponsor PCBWay for helping to make these videos possible. I do a lot of projects that involve making little one-off prototype boards, and PCBWay is a quick and affordable way to get my projects up and running. Whether you're looking for PCB manufacturing, CNC machining, professional 3D printing, or sheet metal fabrication, you'll find quality service at a reasonable price with PCBWay. Right now, they're holding their annual project design contest where people just like you can present your most creative ideas and compete to win cash and prizes. If you're interested in participating, please check out the link in the description for more info. If you have a project you want to compete with, you have until January 31st, 2026 to submit your entry. The judges will check everything out during the month of February, and on March 10th the winner will be announced. Whether you want to win a contest or take your projects to the next level, I highly recommend giving PCBWay a try. The machine I have here on the bench today has 8 megs of RAM in the SIM slots and 1 on the logic board for a total of 9 megabytes. It came with an 80 meg hard drive which I was able to image with initiator mode on a blue SCSI. The case has a bit of yellowing, but it's not too bad. First up for repair is the power supply. Nowadays most of these have gone bad. Many of them have such bad capacitor leakage that they're borked beyond repair. Let's hope this one's in decent shape. This thing is a real pain to get into. Well, it doesn't look like any of the traces have been eaten by cap juice, but it certainly smells like a fish fry. All these caps need replacing. There's a little daughter board in here that has 2 little electrolytic surface mount caps on it. These little boards are especially prone to being eaten by cap goo, and this board is essential for the soft power to work. It's easiest to just remove the board so I can recap it while it's out of the rest of the cramped power supply. Make sure when you solder it back on, it's soldered in the right direction. I haven't recapped the logic board yet, but it doesn't look too bad. Let's see if this thing will power up. Well, I don't get a chime, but it does power up and look for a boot device. Looks like it's a mostly working machine. Let's replace the caps on the logic board and get this thing cleaned up. There we go. I've got it booting off a Blue SCSI with an image of the original drive that this thing came with. I feel like doing a little exploring. Before we get too deep in the digital archaeology, let's do a little trick to squeeze a tiny bit of extra performance out. The onboard RAM is really slow and it's got to get shared with the onboard video system. But we can speed things up by using the remaining 768K of onboard RAM as a disk cache, which will force the system to just run from the sims, which work much better. This copy of Word is registered to the Language Resource Center. I think at some point this computer was used for checking email and some other remote access tasks. Wow, there's a very early version of Disk Dupe on here from before they changed the name to Disk Dupe. It's called Whoosh. So what games are on here anyway? Ah yes, everyone's favorite classic Mac game, Norton Utilities. Time to get a clean install on here to run some benchmarks from. This originally came with System 607, so that's a good one to try. Quickest OS install ever. Speedometer time. Wow, this thing is pretty disappointing when comparing the results with the IIsi. Part of that is the lack of an FPU, but even the onboard graphics performance lags behind it. While my repair experience here was uneventful, I've been watching my friend Justin from the Justin D. Morgan YouTube channel for a while, and he hasn't been so lucky in the IIsi department. He bought one on eBay and it just didn't work. He tried to make it work with an aftermarket power supply, and then another kind of aftermarket power supply, but it didn't want to be a computer. Undeterred, he got another one. Unfortunately, this one was failing in almost the exact same way. A third and fourth were also purchased. The third failed the exact same way. The fourth, though, while broken, was less broken than the others and could actually be used in a diagnostic mode.
Right, we have a black screen.
He soldered a serial cable to the test pads on the logic board and connected that to a PC, and using a series of commands and incantations, he was alerted to 2 bad bits and was able to get a working system by bodging them.
Wait a minute. We've got progress here, folks. We did not sad Mac. But Gutbomb, the 2SI doesn't have to be so slow. By replacing the stock crystal oscillator, I can make this system as fast as it should have been upon release. I'm going to start by removing the 40 MHz oscillator. There we go. Now let me solder in the 50 MHz one. Time to give it a clean. Let's fire it up. Looks like it's booting okay. Let's do a benchmark to test the performance and give it a little stress test. Wow, 5 MHz really makes a difference. It turns a sluggish dog into a slightly less sluggish dog, but it does come closer to bridging the price to performance gap with the 2CI. I don't think it would have taken too many of the 2CI's sales away, given its other limitations like the number of slots, but it would have really turned a lackluster low-end machine into a nice mid-range offering.
I recommend checking out Justin's streams most Tuesday and Thursday nights to see what other shenanigans he gets up to. You can find a link to his channel in the description. Now it's time to give this nugget back to its rightful owner, my friend Tom Barber.
We happy? Tom, are we happy?
Yeah, we happy.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see me do more stupid stuff with computers, stay tuned.